So we will go ahead and get started. It's a little after 6, and we appreciate the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design for being here to talk to us a little bit about their fee. And so we can go around the room and say our name and your role in the committee, and then we'll head into the presentation from College of APD. So Jessica Van Rankin, Student Body President and co-chair of the committee with Jack.
Hi, I'm Anna Jackson. I am the College of Education representative.
Megan Terry, I'm the College of Veterinary Medicine.
My name is Victor Valdez. I represent the College of Arts and Sciences.
Jordan Martin, College of Engineering.
I'm Caitlin Alanis. I'm with the Collegiate.
Will Moreland, again, College of Ag.
I'm John Impution. I'm from the College of Engineering, but I'm serving as the privileged fee chair and an ex officio member on the committee.
I'm Kat Goodman. I'm serving as the architecture representative.
I'm Sharon Harwick. I'm the budget fiscal officer for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design.
Excuse me, Nate.
I'm with him.
Andy Bennett, faculty senate president.
Tim Noble, Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design.
Pat Boscom, student life ex officio.
Trip McGee, graduate school representative.
Cindy Von Traeger, Administration Finance support to the committee.
I'm Trenton Kennedy. I'm student body vice president and your noble scribe.
Heather Reed, student life, and I'm SGA advisor.
Macy, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Macy Schneeweiss, and I am the K-State Polytechnic representative.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, let's look at her.
Yeah, let's zoom her in.
That's amazing.
And my name is Jack Harris, the Speaker of the Senate, co-chairing the committee with Jessica.
Okay, and we'll turn over the floor to Dean Tenoble.
Well, thanks for slotting us in. I know that you had tried to get me to come earlier and like we were in DC or something like that. So I wanted to fill you in on the use of the AP Design K-State Technology fee. And the first thing I'd probably go to is the historical data that's down in the bottom right. You'll see that in the fee began in 2003 at $14 per student credit hour. In 2008, that would be actually the year before I arrived, it was 19 per credit hour. I'm obviously an expensive person, so it went up to $35 a credit hour, just kidding. And then $40 per credit hour. Let me explain that. 2013, as you know, we were making an argument for a new building, and the students, working with the students, we all agreed that if the students put some skin in the game, I would be able to make that argument over at the state and also with my alumni base. And I'm proud to say that it worked. You know, the students at that time voted to increase $16 per credit hour to $35 per credit hour. And they actually worded it such that it would go up $5 per credit hour each of the next 3 years, up to a total of $50 per credit hour. I did not want to continue because the project took off and we had to move out to the diaspora, out of the airport, and didn't feel like it would be very fair to the students to keep raising their tech fee while they're crammed into a 42,000 square foot facility out by the airport. So we appreciate that. So we have deferred raising the fee any more than that. So right now it is approximately $713,000 a year that's coming in, which, by the way, equates to about 30 cents per tax-paying Camden. If they would only pay that, we might not have to done our students $40 per credit hour, and I made that point to the board regents. I'd like to point out the differences if you go up to FY 2016 and 17. You'll notice that we didn't buy as much computer equipment in 17 as 16. That's because we did the complete upgrade that we did of our main computer lab equipment in 16. You'll also notice a significant bump in staff salary in 2017. And you know, it's no surprise around here that, you know, we've had to turn back a lot of money in the last couple of years. For Cindy, she's well aware of that. And so some of our shop-related or technology-related folks have been moved over to this tech fee off of our salary lines. And so if you look down recent purchases and support, the shop manager, teaching technician, APD pro coordinator, which was also our mentorship program, which the students wanted, and that was part of this fee agreement. The information tech manager, that's our, our IT guys and support staff are pretty much all largely subsidized, if not entirely, but mostly by this tech fee. The other thing that we've been doing is you notice that the expenditures are less than what we're bringing in per year. That's because we've been trying to build our war chest for moving into our new building. So if you look under future expenses, we are actually now have encumbered about $700,000 plus or minus $700,000 of our funds over the last 2 years. We're buying a completely new desks and stools for the building, and those are not included in the building project. That's going to be close to $1 million. But there are some other things that are coming about that I want to point out. Starting at the next line really should be under investments, but the tech and visualization equipment in the new building is $2.6 million. That's not coming out of tech fee. That second thing under the second line. That is as a part of the funding of the building. So that's what leveraging the tech fee did to increase our technologies. Moving expenses, we'll be paying for that out of tech fee. The IT network and materials install, that $1.4 million, that is not coming out of the tech fee. That is, again, leveraged because of the tech fee. I think this is an older version that somehow got in. We also built the shop at APD West. It's approximately $500,000 to $600,000, and then the furniture budget of $1.7 million is not coming out of the tech fee. That's also incorporated in the building project. So actually, what you have is that 1.7, 1.4. That's 3.1, and then 2.6. You're looking at $5.7 million of expenditures in a new building that were leveraged because of the students' investment and our ability to sell that and get the new building. So that's exciting stuff. Other things that those are listed below, but I want to talk about is the fabrication facility in the new building. If you just on a square foot basis, is about a $7.5 million space. That's pretty impressive. It comes about the $1 million high-tech teaching classroom. The furniture budget, all that comes about because of leveraging that. We have been meeting, Dean Student Advisory Council that has all the representatives of all the groups in the college, all the official organizations in the college. And we've been talking a little bit about the tech fee, but the fact that I didn't want to raise it yet, but we've also been talking about some other strategies that we're investigating at the university level, such as one rate tuition all the way through, like what's the term that we use?
Compact.
A compact tuition all the way through for undergrad and grad, because a lot of you may not realize, but our 5-year degree, you pay undergraduate tuition, and you go study abroad, $10,000 expense, come back and pay basically over 30 hours of graduate rate tuition. So we're talking about trying to equalize that tuition across the 5 years as a way of perhaps not having that big end load at the end with unsubsidized loans. So that's one of the things we're looking at right now. We've got other equipment and stuff that's coming in, but I told you I'd say we leveraged the fee to move forward on the $60 million building project, but we also leveraged the fee for donations. So from my viewpoint, we went from a college that averaged about $1 million of donations a year to in the in the current campaign, we've raised just shy of $30 million, which means that we're averaging about closer to $6 million a year right now. And that's often because literally one of the things I'll say to an alumnus is, you know that my students pay more money in technology fees than you pay in tuition. Let's talk about how you can support them. So that's kind of where we're going. And of that nearly $30 million that's come into my college, only 8.5 of it right now is to the building. The rest is going into scholarships, which is well more than doubled in the last 5 years, to approaching 200, as well as into support for excellence, funds for us to support student activities. So all that I think is, for me, is a real positive use of the tech fee to leverage great support from both the state and from our questions for me.
So I got a question over here. So you mentioned that a lot of the things you had listed under future expenses, you were able to get paid by.
Well, yeah, they're listed in both places. So if you look down below,
okay, yeah,
I'll just tick them off. The first 3 under investments made possible. The first 4, excuse me, and then the furniture budget. Those 5 items are not coming out of tech fee. Those are all coming out of the building project.
So what other future expenses do you see coming from the tech fee?
Well, we have a lot more equipment to put in. First of all, we got to move back.
Yeah.
It's not like getting a U-Haul. I mean, it costs us $250,000 to move out. So it's going to cost us quite a bit of money to move back. We are the big expense is that $1 million, 800 new studio desks and stools, which we've always used the tech fee to do that, but we're doing a complete refresh on that. We've put forward a series of proposals out there for a robotic arm for CNC and that sort of thing, which we might be able to do both part fee and part match from the manufacturer. We need new plotters. We have new plotting spaces, new 3D printers, because we have some of that stuff now, but frankly, all of it's being used a lot more. So we got a $50,000 request today from the Plot Plus for 2 new plotters and 2 smaller scale plotters. So those are just some of the things we're triaging at this point. Plenty of stuff.
Do you see, because some of the technology fee is going towards investment in the new infrastructure for the new building, I imagine costs with that aren't going to go down anytime in the near future, but do you see sometime in the longer term future the fee being less because of the building move and getting settled in and having the equipment needed for that?
Well, honestly, no, because for example, look at 2016. You see that computer equipment, that 65,000 there. Basically the refresh or the changeover of some of these things is always going to be pretty poignant, and none of us can predict what happens 47 miles that way, but a couple of years ago I wouldn't have thought that I would be using basically a third of the fee on staff so that I could operate all the equipment I have either. So I'm hoping that trend will stop pretty soon. So if you're saying that I can see the fee going away, I don't see the fee going away. I see, the reason we instituted the fee initially is that the technologies that are so much a part of the disciplines in my college march so rapidly that we have to be pretty strategic about how we acquire those technologies. So I mentioned the robot, right? Well, if you look up here, see that 4x8 plasma cutter? I got that machine for $10,000. I waited to buy that machine. We're storing it right now in engineering, ag engineering, and it's being used over there because it was going to cost me $30,000 to move it into the old building. I bought it for 10. Well, we bought a $100,000 CNC machine, eight tool changer CNC machine that my students use like crazy. That's what these are. So, that machine would have been $700,000 4 years before we bought it. So we kind of like, you know what, we can wait. And then when people are like, when are we going to get a CNC and the price is right? Then yeah. So the thing is that we always try to be kind of smart. We may not be cutting edge, but you know, we get it when we can. Otherwise, what we do is before we had our own CNC, we used to send those jobs out and pay on a per job basis. Now our students are the ones who are able to do that.
You talked about that you had stopped, originally when you talked to the students about this, you talked about the $5 increase and you would stop because you guys were located out by the airport now. So do you see when the building is finished here next, would it be next fall is when you're supposed to?
We'll start moving in July.
Whenever you're permanently located back into that building, do you see starting the increase back to the original agreement with the students?
I'm much more inclined to look at it at that point. I suspect, yes, that we would want to do that, but it also has to do with what we come to in this agreement on this tuition thing. We can find a one-rate tuition that people will pay when they come in and move forward. It may be that we'd be able to kind of spend the time. Frankly, I'd like to get away from having to keep adding on the fee.
Will you go back in front of your students? Because obviously those students that made this agreement in 2013 didn't have the 5% tuition increase that we saw last year. You know, the 2%.
They had plenty of increases.
But it's still a lot more now than it was back then. And so the students now have the burden of a general tuition increase, and now they have fees. So are you going to go back to them? Or are you going to evaluate? Should we increase? What are
yeah, we would go. I mean, obviously, that's one reason I'm not going to them now, because I feel like we're shoehorned in and not prevailing on their good graces plenty. No, we would definitely go back. And I think, you know, part of my reason of showing the $7.5 million fabrication facility, the $1 million high-tech teaching classroom, the 2.6 in tech visualization, those are, that 2.6 million, that's what we've been buying over the years, one piece at a time. You know, if we wanted to have a touch screen monitor in the classroom that came out of the tech feed, now it's part of the building process. So you know, that'll be good for X number of years, and we're going to have to start to replace those. And what are we going to replace it with? We're not going to have another building project, at least not while I'm dean. So, you know, I think that we're going to have to replace that probably with the purchased material. I should point, you know, the shop that we built that will continue to be used and needs to have equipment in it, which, you know, some of the equipment we're moving over here, but we're going to get different equipment out there for some of our larger scale stuff. But that shop was paid for with private funds as well. So does that answer your, yeah. Other thoughts? Our representative have any thoughts?
I've heard a lot of this already.
Am I correct in assuming that all of the staff salary, it's all like technology and people?
Yeah, all the, so you got your, you know, the folks that run all the shop activities. In the new building, I have 19,000 square feet of shop. I have a 6,000 square foot shop out there. The AP, well, info tech manager and tech are our IT for the entire college, which is pretty heavy load, as you can imagine, because our students are there all the time and they all operate out there. APD Pro coordinator is our professional preparation and mentoring program, and that was something that we you know, invented and came up with and was supported by the students when they voted on moving forward. So yeah, they're all.
And so are all of their salaries entirely paid for by this fee, or they come from other sources as well?
There might be a couple of them that are half and half, but the APT Pro coordinator for sure is 100% tech fee. The shop manager is, the teaching technician is. The 2 computer guys, they might be half.
And the problem with that is, of course, when we pay our tech fee, we don't have the benefits.
So it's really, I mean, it's not like they're super high paid people, but the benefits are another 25% on top of their salary. So you have to think of that too. You have to pay for that. So it takes more money than you would think when you first just look at their salary. But yeah, so those 3 for sure. And then I think half of the other 2.
But if we go back, 7 years ago, my first year here, we had 1 shop person that was half-time, and we had another person who was kind of a facilities person, like he's kind of hung around, he fix things every now and then. It didn't really help in the shop. So we got 2 people that are constantly with the students and helping the students, training, the student workers and all that.
I have a question about the shop staff, I guess, maybe just for own personal interest. Are those like academic folks, or are they just,
Well,
like how much?
the teaching technician, in a sense, has his master's degree.
Okay.
And he ended up as a teacher. The other one is the good Bubba that knows how to run it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Knows how to weld and do all that stuff. Just loves to do it all. And is amazing, but he doesn't have the education necessary to teach. The teaching technician is graduated 4 or 5 years ago from our
Yeah, and he has a master's degree.
master's degree. So he is developing a class that he wants to teach us, an elective and that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So I was looking back on like when the fee was last reviewed, 2014, 2015, and it talks about how one of the reasons why they wanted to keep it at 40 is because students says students did not favor an additional investment until the bonding authority and state funds were committed to the renovation of Seton Hall. The students were apprehensive of increasing the fees when the state was not holding up their end of the Seton Hall revitalization project. Could you speak to that and what the current relationship, I guess, is? And
Well, I think that
a little update.
I'd like to think the students are pretty excited that that's exactly what happened. Is they were
Awesome.
We're not going to do any more. And I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to make a trip to the State House this year, but when I was going over there, I said, my students voted to increase this fee, but they're not going higher until go all in. And I don't know that had profound effect, honestly, but it allowed me to at least leverage the students' points. So, I think once we're in there and the students see what a fantastic environment it is and how much more collaborative it is and advanced, and every one of our crit spaces, like I said, before we were pretty excited if we got one video panel that would allow us to Skype into one of our crit spaces. Now every crit space will have a video panel with video conferencing capacity. So now all of a sudden all 6,500 alumni are part of our college. That expertise can be brought in. I think the students are going to really love that opportunity to open up the outside.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we'll be in a lot better place to say, okay, state did this. If we need, and again, I want to wait.
Right.
I want to wait and see what we do on the tuition front, because I think that's critical for us right now.
But there is a feeling that the state is because this kind of said wasn't holding up their end of the deal, basically, but that it has come through and it's okay, cool.
Yeah. No, the thing that I would also say that's not a part of this is I don't know how many tours of our own students we've taken through the construction as part of the learning process. Because my whole argument was we're investing both public and private money, and this has to be a learning opportunity. So we've been almost to the point where Jay Dunn's kind of like, if it's not a fundraising tour anymore, we're going to have to shut it down because we've been going through so much. And I think there's a general excitement.
Awesome.
Yeah, every professor that I've had, I have like 3 different lecture groups right now. They've all used pictures of new seating and stuff and construction processes. So they're using it so we can actually see what's going on and understand it once it's complete. And we can actually walk up there and see it too.
Awesome. And I, you know, this is a little bit off base, but the other thing is I think we'll try recruiting to a college that's located out by the airport, by the way. It's not really easy. It's been kind of interesting the last couple of years. But I got word on Friday that we have 100 more applicants than we had last year. So I think that we're already starting to see, it's like they're going to be a new building and all that. So, our whole thing was to grow by about 100 students. It's a nice little start. Now, whether they're all qualified, I don't know. So that's exciting. Yes.
So I don't know if you have, but around estimate or average, how much per tuition for total once you graduate, when they start to when they graduate, how much does this fee tack onto the student's debt, or how much does it charge them?
If you go with 30 hours a year, you're looking at $1,200 a year, and so it's probably right around $9,000. Well, yeah, no, because that's only in our college, so it's more like 6.
Yeah, more like 5 or 6.
Yeah, sorry. But our student, the reason that I want to look at this tuition model I'm talking about is because our students pay about $10,000 to study abroad, and then come back and pay graduate tuition. It's pretty painful.
Because it's required to study abroad, right? At least one semester or summer.
It depends on which program you're in, but architecture, you're required to either study abroad or go on internship. A lot of students are doing both now because they have the option to go in the fall. Although this coming fall, we can't get anybody to go because they all want to be in the building. That kind of backfired on me. But IA, for instance, interior architecture, product design, you can kind of do a combination. You can do a study abroad in the summer or the spring semester, and then you do internship in the opposite. And the landscape architecture has a similar plan, longer internship requirements. So.
What other questions are there? Any for Dean Noble?
Or for Sharon, who knows.
Yes.
Do you know how our degree program compares in cost to your competitors?
Yeah, I wish I had brought that. There hasn't been a recent thing, but Design Intelligence magazine did it about 3 years ago. And let's see if I can describe it for you. So you had two categories of graduate degrees. You had the least expensive and the most expensive. And under the 12th least expensive was my degree in architecture. None of the other 25 listed there were ranked, and at that time, our ranking was number 7 in the nation. On the most expensive were all the other ranked programs pretty much around us, as well as 2 public colleges among the most expensive, and that being University of Michigan was one of them. University of Virginia, quasi-public, another. So it still is one of the least expensive programs in architecture in the nation. That said, it's we still fight like everybody else at recruiting because I know we don't discount as much as some of those others.
Who would you say are K-State's biggest competitors?
Harvard, Yale, Princeton, University of Michigan, USC, Washington University, and then University of Arkansas now because of the way they do their tuition is pretty tough. All right, they're good. in Iowa State just because of regional competitive. We generally, I don't worry too much about my compadres down the road. Just saying. Their dean's one of our graduates. You know, my former department head of the interior architecture is now the dean of Nebraska. So who knows what happens. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, when you look at the rankings nationally, I'm not being facetious, we'll never pass Harvard, they're always number one, but we're always mentioned in everything. So, you know what I like to say? Our professions tend to be coastal centric, but we're epiccentric. You can even feel it on any given day.
Any other questions? Or is that a good note to end it on? Sounds good. We appreciate you coming in. This is very helpful. Thank you both so much.
Well, and listen, give me feedback if there's something that you don't feel we answered or could answer better or something like that. You know, we'll provide it. And be sure we address it that way next time we come. All right. Great to see y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Enjoy your little thing.
Thank you.
Like I said, those were made with not paid, the material was not paid for by the
Heather, did you want one? I have one.
You know what? I was hoping I could have one.
I didn't think you would use
call
that.
Lynn or Lisa and see if they could put it in
They
their
would.
face.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good evening. So now we just have time set aside on the agenda for discussion of the architecture fee first. I know you probably got out all of your questions that you had, but in case you didn't, or there was something you wanted to ask but didn't want to ask it with Dean DeNoble or Sharon in the room, you can ask that now. We can compile any questions if you want more information from them next time. I don't know where kind of everyone's thoughts are on that. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Or anyone has a burning point of discussion that you're like, I want to know what the group thinks about this because I have a problem with this, or if not, that's okay.
I just think the fact that students wanted the fee to leverage kind of against the state shows the dedication and commitment, I think, of the students in the program. And it's obviously an excellent in nationwide. It's just an excellent program too. It supported it well, I think.
If I may clarify some of the funding, the state did not provide new money to cover the debt service for this project. So we had requested that they give us state general fund, and they did not. So what they ended up doing was funding it from the Education Building Fund, which is what all the campuses in the system use to support deferred maintenance and just the maintenance support of the buildings on our campus. And so we actually have seen a reduction of $3.7 million, which is the amount of debt service for this project that's available for us to spend on roofs and mechanics and things like that. So I wanted to kind of at least be clear so you understood that we didn't get new state money for that, but it did kind of come out of one pocket and into the other. So we may see some deterioration or further decline. We're going to get further behind on our maintenance, deferred maintenance, until we get that paid off. And we may continue once state revenues. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't go back to the table and ask them to offset that for us, because I just don't think it's sustainable for 25 years.
And have we started to see issues with that?
Well, Not yet, because 18 will be the first year that it impacted. So the way they did, they appropriated it directly to K-State in 17, but then in 18 is when it gets reduced out of our appropriations. So what the list then that we put to the board in December that looked at our deferred maintenance, we had to reduce some of the items that areas where we had initially spent a little more, we had to reduce it by the 3.7 million. And classrooms is one areas, and some of the mechanical areas too. And I mean, it's, you know, it's just not sustainable. So at some point we're going to need, I think, to go back and see if we can't get new money, state general fund for that. But we have to, the state needs to be in a little better revenue position.
Any other thoughts and comments? We'll revisit this next week, I think, for an actual decision. And so you can kind of think over it. And if you have any questions over the course of next week, you can have opportunity to ask those and not have to make a decision right away tonight. But are there any other points of discussion?
So if you have questions going forward, send Jessica and I an email. We can get that to Denable.
And we have on here revisiting the College of Agriculture fee discussion from last week. I think it's probably also wise to hold off on taking a vote on that tonight as well and do that next week, just because we still need to pass through Senate our College of Agriculture reps position. And so I think it'd be wonderful if the College of Agriculture rep is able to vote on the College of Agriculture fee officially. So I think probably hold off on that, but we're able to have any more discussion. If there are any thoughts that you've had over the last week or any more questions that you have related to the College of Agriculture's fee.
We definitely can discuss it. You know, they need, I mean, there's questions or treating Trent McGee type questions.
I don't think I have any quotes for the Collegian this week. So.
That might be a problem.
Thank you, Caitlin, for being here. We appreciate you covering the meetings. And this is an especially quiet bunch tonight.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And
I do hate silence, but so I will say this, like following up after the at-length discussion last week, you know, Jessica and I chatted after Senate on Thursday, and one of the points I wanted to clarify from that discussion that she kind of brought to my attention, that it kind of looked like that I was advocating for the nuclear option for our university in terms of financial. I can never say that word right. And that is not what I was advocating. Bringing up the LSU point was more of that was an option that happened at LSU, and I think it needs to be clear that that didn't happen at LSU. They raised that concern, and all of a sudden the money appeared. But when you look at these two fees, especially like tonight, I think it's good that we started with these two things, because I personally think, and I'd love to hear what the group thought, like agriculture and AP design kind of use them in two different ways, but I think they both use their fees really well, like in terms of student success, and agriculture is very focused on support as well, as AP design was more about advancing technology and giving our students a cutting edge. So I appreciate that they both didn't come back with an increase, something that I would not be for, but I'm not for slash and burn all fees. As much as I just don't want to see any increases this year. So, but that's where my thoughts were.
I was just going to also make a comment on kind of where I was sitting with that. I read the quote from 2014-2015 minutes, which basically indicated that the reason why the students did not want to increase the fee beyond $40 per credit hour. So, which is, you know, currently where it stands for architecture, is as a result of students not feeling like they wanted to increase fees with the state not upholding their end of the deal. Is kind of where that conversation was. And yeah, and that's, I just wanted to kind of give some context for like that's something that I find really valuable is like that there's reasons why the students did not feel like an increase was worthwhile, and so they didn't increase, right? So I mean, I think that that's something to kind of keep in mind is that seems to be pretty good student, I guess, engagement kind of on that issue specifically of where their fee sits for multiple reasons, kind of like Jessica said.
And Jessica, you mentioned at Senate, and some that might not have been there, obviously, there's not all senators in this room, that you discussed, K-Board discussed with you guys in terms of these academic fees and stuff like that last week. Can you shed some information for what their thoughts were, where they were at with that and stuff?
Yeah, it was, I serve on the Student Advisory Committee, a committee of the Kansas Board of Regents with the other student body presidents of the Regents institutions as well as Washburn. And we had the opportunity to have a breakfast meeting with the Board of Regents last week, and one of the topics was tuition fees. And they asked us, well, do you think your fees are too high? It was more of, they were trying to really gauge how students felt about their fees, and I think that will inform their positions going forward, I hope. And because they didn't give a clear, like, we like this, we don't like this. They more were like, what do students feel and think about these? The KU student body president and myself, because we were the two who do have fees and have those, have higher tuition rates, we express that we do think certain fees are potentially too high and that it does really place an undue burden on students, and that we're interested in pursuing potentially that there is some interest in models like differential tuition and things that are just more clear so that students can plan financially a little better, and not have fees come in that are surprising. And so I think we kind of expressed that, and the board was more doing a listening. The board was more kind of exercising listening to what students think there. And I think there's probably an interest, but I think I would hope the board decisions would be driven by what the universities present to them too. And what the
So
students think.
I might misheard you. The KU and K-State are the only ones that have fees like this?
I
Tied to
am
colleges?
I am not sure. That wasn't. I can ask. I don't think we're probably the only ones, but we could be. I would have to reach out to the other student body presidents. Of the ones there, it was Fort Hays State and KU and I that were able to attend the breakfast, and so Fort Hays does not, and KU and we do. So
I was thinking maybe Wichita.
I think I think Wichita State did, but he was not able to come. I think he had an academic thing. Yeah,
And the comprehensive fee schedule, I think, is where they're supposed to be disclosed.
So if anyone has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer. Or if anyone else has any other comments on the College of Agriculture fee, we'll move on. Next week we will be not hearing any presentations, but be making those decisions hopefully, as well as talking through all of the fee proposals that I sent out via email. I think we should also be expecting to receive this week in your email inbox a university-wide fee proposal as well. Those for the 4 academic fee proposals, but there will be another one coming that please reach out to us with any questions about it before next week, as well as the academic fee proposals that came in. I think next week will be a great opportunity to kind of get out some of those points of discussion and questions before we hear the proposals, because I think sometimes there's a lot of context that like Vice President Bontrager and Dr. Bosco and Provost Mason and Dr. Bennett, et cetera, can provide. Yeah.
I was just going to say, getting on the web, Wichita has a long list of fees for different courses and colleges, and so I don't know. I haven't had time to run through all the regions, but it is not just K-State and KU.
Yeah, I think. So I think that's what that discussion about all the fee proposals will be what we can expect to do next week. And so, yeah, Jack.
I was going to piggyback off what Jessica said. I was going to clarify one thing. She said deciding on the fees, that'll be, we could vote on agriculture and architecture next week, but not I really would not like to vote on the 4 new ones.
Oh, no.
Honestly, until
Yeah.
we hear from the deans. So just want to clarify that. The other thing is, and that one of the reasons why Jessica and I, when we kind of had been planning like the committee schedule at least, was to put in a week where we could look over all fees is for, I would say, 2 main reasons. First of all, is for context. So like looking at, it's the fees, like, for the academic fees together, it'd be nice to be able to kind of compare and contrast and such. But also that we would be able to have kind of a candid conversation from the get-go, and that we could inform the deans of what questions we had so that they could include that in their presentations and just kind of make the process a little more efficient, a little more, not conversational, but.
Yeah, because if there's something in the fee proposal that automatically sticks out to you as like, this doesn't make sense to me, why would a fee be used for this? Then the dean has the opportunity to directly address that in their presentation from the get-go. And so I think, like Jack said, that can make it a lot more efficient. Okay, well, kind of a quick one tonight. So.
I just want to make sure, are there any, no discussion on agriculture? Like I said, we can't vote on it tonight, but just want to make sure I wouldn't get off topic, and I just want to go back to that, make sure there wasn't any thoughts that we want to discuss tonight. All right. Well, yeah, very quick.
Well, yeah, thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everybody.